Fisher trying to go back-to-back and do it on his home course.
And now Fisher cutting him off.
As Fisher finds another gear, Grant Fisher.
I really like that with running, you just got everything back that you put into it. It was kind of just like, you're out there, you're giving it everything you have every day in training.
Grant Fisher doesn't look at all daunted. The top three have the Olympic standard. Grant Fisher, it's only the second time he's run at this distance.
It is so exciting. We have so many men still in contention. Only 3 can go to Tokyo. Who will make the Olympic team?
Grant Fisher is going step for step with the Olympic silver medalist.
Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate your time. I know you're probably really busy right now.
No, it's all good, man. Yeah.
So before we get started, I just want to say, like, back in high school when I used to run, I used to watch a lot of your races, and it was just amazing to see everything you've accomplished at such a young age. I'm so excited to see what you do at Tokyo.
Thank you, man. I'm stoked. I'm really excited.
So let's hop into the first question. Let's start from the beginning. Like, when did you fall in love with running? What kind of drove you to pick running over soccer? I know you played soccer in high school too, right? When was the moment that you kind of realized that you wanted to do this professionally?
Yeah, so growing up, I was all in on being a soccer player. My older sister played soccer, and it was just what I did when I was a kid. I loved the game and played it a ton. My priority was definitely soccer. And it wasn't until about the end of my sophomore year that I really started to fall in love with running. I really like that with running, you just got everything back that you put into it. You were kind of in control of your own destiny. You weren't relying on a coach to put you in and give you minutes or anything, or another one of your teammates even making a mistake or bailing you out and winning a game for you. I was kind of just like, you're out there, you're giving it everything you have every day in training, and you can see that reflected back to you when you race. So it probably wasn't until I was in college that I thought, hey, running professionally might be a real prospect for me. And yeah, here I am now living the dream. It's an incredible lifestyle that I have now, and it's a lot of fun.
The next question I have is something I've always wondered, and I wanted to ask like professional runners this question is, what are you thinking about when you're racing? Like, I know you're in a lot of pain. How do you kind of push yourself and make sure you leave it all on the track? Yeah,
it comes with time in the game. Racing when you're new to the sport, it's kind of just an experimental game where you're trying to get the most out of your body, but it's hard to really know how to allot your energy properly so that you finish the race basically with nothing in the tank, which is the goal. The goal would be to get as much out of yourself as you can on the day, and that's kind of hard to do when you're young. It's sometimes you push too hard in the beginning and you blow up and you completely tie up and get beat by a lot. Now when I race, I know my body and I know my mind so well that I know like the telltale signs of when I'm pushing too hard, because when you're running hard and you're pushing yourself, your mind's going to fight back and it's going to say like, hey, we've never gone this fast before, you should slow down, or like, my legs feel terrible, you should slow down. You should know, like, at this point, I know in certain races where my mind will tell me, hey, maybe you should drop out of this race. This is hurting pretty bad. So mastering those thoughts is really important. So now when I race, it's pretty instinctual. I don't really think that much, not nearly as much as I used to, about how my body's feeling, how much to push, how much to save for the end. I kind of can just feel those things and kind of go on autopilot. Most of my thoughts now are based on positioning, tactics, things like that. So yes, you're in a lot of pain, but when you've gone to that place, to that zone so many times, it kind of feels familiar.
That makes sense. Yeah, no, it's kind of funny how like even the pros have like similar thought process as people like us that run recreationally or just running high school. Like, I used to think about dropping out, even though I never dropped out. Like, it was always like, oh my God, can I make it to the end? So I never thought like even the professionals would think the same way. So definitely makes it more relatable.
Yeah, it happens to everybody. Yeah.
All right, so let's move on to the Tokyo question that I had. When actually are you leaving for Tokyo? Because I mean, it's right around the corner now, right?
Yeah. So tomorrow on the 18th, I'm flying to Honolulu, and I'll have about a week-long training camp there, just to get adjusted to a bit more humidity, because Tokyo is going to be very humid. Get closer to that time zone, and I've been training at altitude for the past 3 months or so, and it's tough to train up here just because your body doesn't process oxygen the same way up here. You get very fit because of that, but it'll be nice to get a sea level stint in, just to get used to being at sea level again. And then I'll fly over to Tokyo on the 25th. Because of the time change, I'll arrive on the 26th of July and then race, I think, 4 days after that.
Got it. So are you going to be doing like any speed work once you get to Tokyo, or is it mainly just like kind of tapering?
We'll have a hard workout in Hawaii when we're there, but after that workout, it's kind of just chill out, drop the mileage a little bit, taper down, do what will make your body feel as best as possible when you get to the starting line in Tokyo. With a week before the biggest race of your life, you're not really going to gain any fitness in this time. The goal is more just to feel as good as possible. The time to gain fitness is kind of gone. So it's kind of just like what it takes to get your legs feeling fresh and under you and ready to go.
I mean, what's it like being able to call yourself an Olympian now? Like, is it just a different feeling altogether? And what are your expectations going into Tokyo? And especially the fact that you're not going to have any spectators, unfortunately. So like, does that change anything for you? I'm sure it sucks. Like,
yeah. Honestly, it's kind of weird. Even though technically I am an Olympian, it hasn't really sunk in too much yet. Maybe it will once I actually compete. But as of now, like, not a ton has changed. Like, I'm still just training and getting ready to race. So maybe after Tokyo, I'll feel like it'll sink in and I'll realize, like, man, this was a dream that I had and I accomplished it. Specifically about Tokyo and the race. Yeah, it's unfortunate that there's no spectators. It really is. This is going to be the biggest race of my life, and it's going to be dead quiet in a massive stadium, in the biggest stadium I've ever been in. So it'll certainly be weird. But at the same time, I'm just happy that the Olympics are happening. If not having spectators and, not being able to leave the Olympic Village and getting tested every day and jumping through all these hoops is what it takes to have the Olympics, then I'll gladly do it. I'd much rather have that than have them be outright canceled. So it'll be weird. We have had some prep of racing without fans over the past year and a half. That's been a reality in a lot of races I've been in. So it won't be totally foreign, but it'll be different for sure. I'm hoping they pump in like some crowd noise or some music or something, because otherwise it's going to feel like we're in a ghost town in this massive stadium, just us running.
I know that does make sense. I mean, just remember the fact that there are people just watching you from their homes and cheering you on. So when you're running, like, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
Do you have any post-race plans? Like, is there anything you want to do in Tokyo? Like, do you want to visit some places, or maybe go and watch some other like Olympic sports, or what's kind of like your plan afterwards?
Oh man, I would love to, but we're under pretty strict protocol. I don't think we're allowed to go to see other events, which is unfortunate. And we're not allowed to leave the village, so we can't sightsee around Tokyo or anything. Once our event concludes, we have to leave the country within 48 hours. So I would love to explore Japan and Tokyo and see the culture and see all these historic places and get a sense of the city, but it's not in the cards. Yeah, we're under pretty strict protocol.
I mean, yeah, that's definitely a bummer, but I mean, this is just the beginning for you. You have a lot more races to go and like a long career ahead. So I'm sure you're definitely going to get more opportunities like this.
I'm hoping so.
The next question I had is, what other hobbies do you actually enjoy? Like, we usually see that determined and competitive side of you, like on the track, but outside of all that, like, what are you kind of like?
Yeah, in the sport, you do get a decent amount of downtime. You really can't train 9 to 5. Your body will just break down. Lately, I've been up at this altitude camp with my teammates, and we've been playing a ton of pool. there's a pool table in our house, so we've gotten quite good. So yeah, maybe once COVID kind of falls off and maybe the pandemic is over, we can go to some pool bars and run some tables. But that's been taking up a decent amount of our time. We play a lot of cards up here. And when I'm not super beaten down from training, I do like to do a decent amount of programming. In college, I studied electrical engineering and did a lot of computer science courses, and software was kind of my focus in college. So it's fun to stay sharp. I really enjoy that stuff, just building things and, making fun stuff, whether it's a game or a website or some sort of algorithm that I'm attempting to learn that's usually pretty frustrating. But I enjoy programming. That'd be like the non-athletic thing that I like to do. So yeah.
Got it. No, I can definitely relate. Like I am studying data science at Berkeley as well. And like it's really frustrating at times. It's rewarding at the same time. Yeah.
Data science is an awesome field. I wish I took more courses on it in college.
So the next question actually ties in perfectly to what we were discussing. How do you kind of maintain a perfect balance between your personal and like your rigorous training schedule? Because like in college and high school, you were able to succeed both academically and athletically. So what were kind of like the strategies that really worked for you?
Yeah, in some degree, it's a little experimental. You have to upset the balance or have the balance wrong to really find it, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So there were certainly times when I was in high school or even college where I might have been taking school like super seriously and been up really late at night, and you see your athletic performances start to suffer a little bit there. And if you're so dialed into just sports and school, sometimes you just get kind of burnt out without any social interactions with people. So striking that balance, you have to go over the line a few times to really find it. And it is pretty individual. I'd say like, don't beat yourself up if you don't have the balance quite right at this point in your life, whether you're in high school or college, or if you're out of college and trying to find a balanced work life with your job. You can find it and fine tune it. And I always found it really helpful to just sit down and think, what are the things that matter most to me? And those things I'll put first. And also another thing I found out later in college was it's really helpful to just be really present in whatever you're doing at the time. When I'm at practice training in college, like I'm at practice and training in college, I'm not thinking about school. I'm not talking about school. I'm dialed in there. And then when I'm in class or doing some homework, I'm not thinking about running. I'm 100% dialed in there. And that made me just a little more efficient. It, keeps your stress levels down. It allowed you to like use each element of your life as kind of a break from the others too, even if one isn't going as well as you want. So I'd say, yeah, those were the things that I learned as I went.
This is the last question I have for you. What advice do you have for college students who are still trying to figure out what they want to do with their future and like what it holds for them? Like, especially since you've managed to pursue your passion at the highest level, they would be really interested in hearing your insights.
Yeah. I mean, I know it's cliche, but finding what you're passionate about is one of the biggest pieces of growing up, in my opinion. And some people figure that out early, some people figure that out later in life. But when you find it, you know. For me, running is like, I feel a calling to do it. Like it just feels so natural to me. And it feels like this is what I was meant to do. And I know other people that I went to school with in college, like found their thing that they felt they were meant to do, whether it was more community service oriented or whether it was dropping out and making a startup. Whatever your passion is, if you can find it, then go for it. Like there's nothing wrong with going all in on something. I know sometimes people are a little hesitant to do that, and there is a time and a place to do that. But when you go all in on something that you're passionate about, I've seen it work out for a lot of people. If you truly believe in what you're doing, all the setbacks, all of the things that people might view as sacrifices, they don't feel that way. They feel like fuel to keep going and pursuing what you believe in. So that might have been too deep, but that's how I feel about running. And I hope someone listening feels that way about something in their life and can go after it. And even if you fall flat on your face and you pivot and find something else that you're passionate about, you'll learn so much about whatever you're going after, and you'll also learn a lot about yourself. I think it's really worth it.
Thank you so much. That was very well said. Those were all the questions that I had for you today. But before we end off the call, I just wanted to say thank you so much for doing this. Like, I remember DMing you like 2 years ago when I was in high school for running advice, and I was shocked that you actually replied. And things have changed so much since then. You're an Olympian now, which is truly incredible. And just remember, when you're running there, like, all of us are cheering you on, and I'm sure you're going to do great. Good luck.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that.